So with this now in place, you may notice that this face here isn't flush with this face here. So I want to fix that. I can adjust that by undoing the securing knob on the crown moulding plate, and that allows me to slide this back into in relation to this fence. I want to get a straight edge, so what could be straighter than a Festool guide system, and I'm going to use my clamp to just hold that into place. I'm making sure that the clamp is flush against this face here, and now I can undo this knob, which I have done, and I can slide this crown moulding into position and move the leg into position, and that allows me to make sure that everything is lined up to the face of my Kapex. See that? That's exactly what I wanted. Then I can lock my crown moulding into position, release my clamp, and get that out of the way again. So once I've got this lined up, this brace that we put on before now comes into its own. This area here of this brace slots into one of these holes here. To be honest with you, I don't think it really matters. I choose the back hole just because it seems to give me a stronger joint. And once that's in there, I can then lock this knob down, and then taking this knob that came with the kit, I can secure this to the table underneath, from underneath. And with that tightened down, crown moulding tightened down, that now secures this into position, making sure that my face runs parallel and flush to this area here. Make sense? Good. We now need to insert the tape measure. This is the tape measure. Can't really mistake it because it's got a tape measure on it. Tape measure is in millimeters, and it starts at strangely 30 millimeters. It's not broken, it's nothing to worry about. That just allows to get clearance on the blade, so we don't interfere and cut through the tape measure, while still allowing this thing to be portable with these, because they will not always be in place. It simply slots into the end here, and there's a small channel on top, and that's where the tape measure runs down. Tape measure into the small channel on top. That then slots into place, and it's as simple as that. It then comes with a small clip. That small clip slots into this back rail, and that allows us to secure the tape measure at its appropriate length. So we slot that in. What I find easier now is just to loosen this knob off at the back here, and that allows me to just extend that out a little bit. And with that small gap, it just allows me to access this channel. So I can bring the tape measure down past that gap. I just hold it in place loosely with my finger. And the kit comes with this small clamp here. Now this is a simple stop, so I can slide into the channel there, and as I tighten that up, it just holds the tape measure in position. There's nothing more complicated than that. So I'll move this down here out of the way. Doesn't really matter what the position is at this point, it's completely arbitrary, but it gives us the ability to add the other bits and bobs to the rail. The next thing we want to add is this piece here. This is a support, and it just simply sits on top of the channel like this. So you've got higher material, it gives something to support on. Now strangely, I find that this doesn't quite fit well enough, and I checked the two that came with the other extensions as well, and they're both the same. It's a simple knob, and again it's an elongated nut, and it comes with a washer, and the washer actually comes when the kit's in the box with the washer underneath this knob here. I find if that's the case, so there's not enough clearance on the end of this here for it to slide into the channel and clamp. So I took the washer out, and then it works perfectly. I can put it into this channel, and it slides freely down this channel, and I can just lock this into any position that I wish. Now I've dropped Festool customer services a note just asking them whether I'm doing something wrong there or whether that's the, you know, a design error. But with being Festool, they don't tend to make design errors, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. But this is how it works. Gives me nice support there, give me additional height, and it's very, very secure. And the final piece of the jigsaw is our stop flag. So the stop flag literally just, get this right, slides in, that's right, orientated in this way with these two little runners at the back, and again it just slots into the channel, and then we can clamp that down wherever we want to do. Flag comes down, and that gives me the stop to give me my repeatable cuts. The final job before calibrating the tape measure is we just need to drop this little support clamp on, and this is just an additional support. It sits flush with this piece here and also the leg stop, sorry, the leg support on the device. And if you look at this, this is telescopic, so as I undo this bolt you can see that this can move out, and therefore that gives me a lot of flexibility as I start to drive it forward. But here there's a piece that floats up and down. Now if I extend this piece all the way out, then obviously my wood could dip as it's supported, as it's not supported here. That's what this solves, and it simply clamps into this piece of material here like that, and that gives me a sliding support that I can position inside. Works exactly the same way as a leg do. Got two nodules on here, and I have a elongated clamp. Elongated clamp goes into the hole. This then slots into the elongated clamp, orientates into those two knobs at the back, and then the clamp tightens up. It's got a locking washer at the back, so that goes into place, so I've now got support here for material. And again, if I'm not using the extension, that's okay. I can just slide that in position there, lock it down, and just gives me a bit of additional support on the end. The final part is just to calibrate the ruler. The instructions say take a piece of material 450 millimeters long, rest it against the blade, bring the stop in to 450 millimeters, clamp it into place, and then you can mark and adjust this. Seems like a bit of messing to me, so I'm just going to use a steel rule. I've brought the head of the Kapex down. I've simply released the locking lever, brought it down into the cut position, and pushed the locking lever back in to clamp it into place. I've got my lock down at the back here, and I'm set at 0 degrees, and I've made sure that's resting hard against the set on there. This is adjusted in this orientation, again to 0, and again I've locked it in place so there's no movement inside this head. I'm then going to rest the steel rule on the outside edge of the teeth, of one of the teeth on the cutting disc. Like so, and then I can come along and I can see 400 or 450, whatever it is I want to work with. My rule's marks on both sides, so I'm going to come in and take a position of 400 there. So I've now got a mark there that I know is 400 millimeters from the cutting surface. I can then take a square and I can square off that line, put my glasses back on so I can see, release the locking nut, and I can now allow the tape measure to come back and adjust that so that lines up perfectly with 400 millimeters. I'll lock that into place, and that's it. We now do the same on the other end, and then I have a fully working leg extension. Now in my workshop design it's going to be slightly different, because I'm going to be using the MFT free table as the outfeed for this other end. So I'll put this into position. I'll leave this one in place. It'll give you some additional support onto the table, but I won't be building up the other leg extension at this moment in time. Useful, I'm going to take it on site. I mean, this comes away quite quickly and easily now, I think. So once we understand how this thing works, it's not too hard to take it apart. But for now, we will leave that in place. I'll put this back in position and then we'll start looking at assembling the MFT3 table, and that will be the next video in this series. See you next time.